Hello, how are you, my friends? It's hard to say good morning, good evening, and all the rest. I want to greet my friends, my colleagues, my comrades, the people of Uganda, fellow citizens who are in the captivity of Mr. Museveni. And I would also want to thank all those that have done whatever is in their means, whatever is in their reach, to make sure that we change the rhythm. We free ourselves from this captivity. It's been a long time. We are now going to 40 years. 40 years means bondage. 40 years means pain. Those are the 40 days, 40 years the Jews spent in their en route going to Canada. What brings me today, I want to say thank you for those friends of mine who go watch my YouTube videos. Now we have a TikTok channel for those very short videos, 1 minute, 2 minutes, so to be able to trickle your mind to think about this country. My friends are following on Twitter, Harold KAIJA. Those who follow me on Facebook, the same thing, Harold KAIJA, Instagram, Harold KAIJA. And those who give me feedback about what I really talk about, I want to say thank you. But I always ask you, please try to share this information. This information is only good when shared with your other colleagues. If I remain with it, doesn't help. When you listen to the videos, share with the colleagues, and the most important thing, subscribe, like, share, leave comments. I always pick those comments, and they determine what I always think about as far as improving the videos. I love the critiques. When you criticize me, I go back and do a lot of thorough research about the issues that affect the people of Uganda. Today there's something that has been intriguing me, and it must be intriguing most of you. When Mr. Museveni was in about 2017, when he was in Chibuga, meeting his more of NRM MPs and mobilizers, he talked about something that many Ugandans, they always try to forget it. When he said, "You are not my servants. I am not your servant. I don't work for you. I do my own things. I do what I do." That was a huge statement. In countries where people have citizens, not subjects. The other day I was listening to Professor Nebesa when he said our education system helps people, and then some other time I think I'll come and talk about our education system prepares people to be subjects and not citizens. A citizen is assertive. A citizen is engaging the defining of where his country must go. Today I want to look at why Mr. Museveni went to the bush. What he thought, what he said, he wanted to address. Because when you don't look at those issues, we'll never know on how to fix this country. Before 1984, there was no program. Ugandans in Europe went and punched up his colleagues, punched up 10-point programs that he came flying to convince whoever was able to listen the reason why he was in the bush. He gave 10-point programs. But we want to analyze them to see, was there a reason for Mr. Museveni to fight, or confirm that actually the issues said he doesn't work for us, he doesn't do what we want him to do, he does what he wants to do. We want to confirm with what we call empirical evidence. The first reason he said that he was in the bush and he felt he wanted to address was democracy. What is democracy? Democracy, when the first definition that was always given to us when we are doing political education, was that democracy is the rule by government is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it presupposes that democracy is the will of the majority
Taking care of the minority.
Taking care of the minority. My old man was giving me some input. Is the will of the will of the majority taking care of the interests of the minority.
Exactly.
And when you look around, what are the interests? Do we have a government of the people, by the people and for the people? Is the will of the majority taken care of? Must think about it. Today, every time Mr. Museveni goes in election, his election is challenged. Professor Dr. George Kayihamba has written challenging the presidential election. When you read his book, The Joy of Being Who You Are, it takes you through the inside story, the story behind the petitions of Dr. KIZZA BESIGYE, 2001 and 2006, and how judges were manipulated to change their judgment. The majority want jobs. Do they get jobs? The majority want to have access to social service. Do they get them? The majority want social services. Do they get them? The majority want freedom. Do they get that freedom? The majority want security. Do they get it? The majority's will is suppressed. In every election we have been, people have been killed. In 2006, you saw how Dr. BESIGYE was nominated when he was in jail. And many cases had been put on his head to make sure that does not campaign. Many people who registered to vote were not allowed to vote. If you go to Western Uganda, they don't even allow people to vote. You come with and you find predict ballot papers and on the road, is put them in the box. You've had areas where you have seen where they say 100% of the general voters voted. Is that the democracy he talked about? Where even when you go to court, he appoints the EC, he appoints the after elections he make. You remember in 2016 when we went to Naguru, where there was a makeshift, a kangaroo telecenter. So Mr. Museveni, that one we say, he never came for democracy. And you have heard him on some rallies. Yeah, sorry, he's what you brought me. He had talked about just a paper. Just a paper. We shall not allow people to come and I don't see anybody who can replace me. That tells you it is about him, not the majority of the people of Uganda. You saw in 2016 the FDC flag bearer Engineer Patrick Amria reached at the nomination table without shoes. Honorable Chagroj was also arrested. Even the Katumba Oye, nobody was allowed to have a rally. And all other elections, you don't access the people, you don't organize. They use even laws that the Public Order Management Act to make sure that you do not access people. You go on radio, you are thrown out. Even Dr. BESIGYE had a case with the national broadcaster where we paid 20 million in 2011 and they never aired our adverts. So Mr. Museveni won, he never went to the bush because of that he won a race for democracy. Point number 2, security. Through post-independence, Uganda has witnessed a lot of insecurity from about 1964 during the gold scandal of Country-Uganda, the attack on the Ruby in 1966, and then the removal of political parties. And many people have been dying. When Janamini came to power, it became the order of the day. The other day I was reading the story about the death of how the former Vice Chancellor of Makerere, Kalumuzo, who was killed, and many people who died during the reign, the Archbishop and the like. Many people died. Dying was order of the day. If you did not want to die, you had to leave this country as soon as possible. The 68 days of the UNLA and during the reign of Binaisa, during the 42, Ugandans have always been feeling a lot of insecurity in their country. Mr. Museveni said he wanted to revert that. Today, I want to ask, are you secure? Are Ugandans secure? Are people stopped dying? Police records of 2019 showed that 21 Ugandans die every day. So if we say 21 Ugandans are killed every day, that is 365 days, that means 7,665 Ugandans are killed every day. Is that security? And even others are killed by state gangs. Men have killed by state gangs. Dr. KIZZA's brother, his cousin Mulindwa, disappeared. We've never seen him up to date. So disappearance keep happening. Torture keeps happening. Now eventually, because of the high levels of unemployment, the iron bar groups, border guys have been killed. People who have some little money have been killed. So when you talk about security, you had the Vijambi and Masaka, the Machete people. You can never spend a day or 2 days without seeing in the media, in the print media or in the electronic media, without seeing a pic of somebody who has been killed. So Mr. Museveni did not go to the bush to restore security. Point number 3, consolidation of national unity and elimination of all forms of nepotism. Yeah? Actually, if there has been a time when Ugandans are not united, it is during the reign of Mr. Museveni. Ugandans are divided on tribal lines, religious lines, or even on gender. When he came, it was about the northerners and the southerners, telling them those are bad. Now eventually when you reach here, you find in Buganda, you see the Banyara, the Bakochi, the Bamori. Then you go to Bunyoro, the Bafurucha and the Banyoro. You go to Tororo, you find the Yabadora and the Ateso. You go to Renzori in Kasense. You go to wherever you go. People are divided. You even hear they are creating constituencies of a given tribe. Almost constituencies of a given religion. And now these days you hear the state wanting to implicate that every murder they put a Muslim, so that the Christians don't like the Muslims. So that kind of division has been fueled by those managing the state. So it was never a reason that Mr. Museveni came to unite people. Because in the past, a Ugandan would go to Gulu. Actually, people who studied in Acholi, people used to study, that is Wombachi, Obote College, Tororo Girls, PGS Station College, Jinja College. People go to Ranyanji, Intare, St. Leo's and the like. So Ugandans will crisscross the country. So in that young age, that is how you build a nation. But today, you find somebody who will say that I have been in Kampala, I have never crossed the Nile. I have never reached Imbarara. I have never reached Gulu. With a country small like ours, which is about 17,000 square miles. A very small country. So you can't bond. When you go to nepotism, I have never seen a government in this country where president's wife is a minister. The son leads the army. His in-law has been in foreign affairs. State House control is by the daughter. The brother leads what they call Operation Wealth Creation and the like. You find MPs related. So it's about relatives, in-laws, and friends. So if you're not in that nucleus, you can't access anything in this government. So now this is also a fallacy that Mr. Museveni came to remove all sorts of nepotism in this country. And many of them are not qualified for the jobs. Because we would say, no, these guys went into serious competition, a job was advertised, they went and defeated that. But many have been pampered to position their holding. The other reason that was also lie, to defend and consolidate national independence. You know, if you wanted to become independent, what did they mean? What was in the mind? But today Uganda is actually owned by the Chinese, by the World Bank, by IMF. Whoever has money owns Uganda. We can now no longer make a serious decision without the input of these guys. Because if you cannot be economically independent, you can't be politically and socially independent. You must dance to their tunes. And that is what is happening in this country. The other reason, people are building an independent, integrated, and self-sustaining economy. And independent from who? Where? Integrated with what? Today they will tell you agriculture is the backbone of Uganda's economy. That employs about 80% of the population, contributes 25% to national's GDP. But government injects less than 1% of the national budget. No wonder today carrots come from Kenya. We import rice. We import Irish potatoes. We import apples. We import milk. We have to import food. Today you can hardly define the structure of Uganda's economy. When you find that most of the CEOs are not Ugandans, serious CEOs. Huge contracts are given to foreigners. When you look at our debt, it's more than half the GDP of this country. Uganda is a beggar everywhere. At the world scale, there's nothing like, even in coffee we no longer compete, which used to compete in the 60s and 70s. Industrialization, where I used to have industries in Jinja, it is almost a deserted place. You think it is a tomb. So where is that economy? They only build a border economy, which later they want to collapse. They went to do tourism, but all we've been seeing, they've been giving away forests. The victim of our tourism, actually, the kill of our tourism, are those even who wanted to put it up there. Today, if you compare Uganda and its neighbors, I'm failing to say a country that we are better off. The people who used to come to school in Uganda no longer come. The people who used to say that go and seek jobs in Uganda no longer come. So now we are about to say when you go to Nairobi that I have gone abroad. Of course it is abroad. But it wasn't qualified to be abroad. You just say I've gone, you have just gone here to Kenya. So the economy of this country, where 67% of our people are in subsistence production, where youth employment is about 67, about 64%, about 70% of the people walk to work. You can't talk about that economy. There is no economy to talk about. We even do not know what we depend on. Our new economy is the export of young girls to the Middle East. What kind of economy do you have? The economy of corruption? No. Mr. Museveni never came here to address the economy. No. The other is to restore, number 6, restoration and improvement of social services and rehabilitations of war-ravaged areas. Mr. Museveni fought in Ruwera, and one time nicknamed it Mecca. The people of Ruwera were rich before Mr. Museveni came and to fight in Ruwera. With the economy on coffee, they had processing machines, but today every person in Ruwera is a beggar. Up to today, even those that he ate his food, their cows, slept in their houses and led to their collapse, do not have known government schools. You do not see something to talk about in the royal trial. Even the district headquarters, rather than when Abdul Naduli was still chairman, the district headquarters had no roof, even the roof went. The other day I went to Masulita, where Medin Sereko, the moderator at CBS Kids of Uganda, where he comes from. The road from Kakiri to Masulita, when you reach KIZZA, where there are some skulls of those who died because of Mr. Museveni, you can't no longer see the schools. They have no road. You look at a town, it's still that town of the yesteryears. Masuita Secondary School, Masuita Health Center, nothing. Go to Kapeka. Go to Nakaseki. Move around Wakiso. Let's go to Teso. What is in Teso? The politics of districts. Give them a district. No development. Go to Acholi. So there has not been any program. Today even the minister in charge of Royal Triumph is a person who has held for corruption of the Global Fund. This led Kaboyi, who is green about the Royal Triumph, now is given the task of managing the project. That's wrong. This is not what Museveni came to do. Even the university in Imbarara, we see, was designed for Royal Triumph, only to be shifted outside. The last time I saw him putting up a demonstration of these mineral water bottles as irrigation. In the world where farmers are using sprinklers and you are using bottles, you fetch water using a bicycle and you think you're going to compete on a world scale. We don't hear doctors coming from the Royal Triangle. We don't see engineers coming from the Royal Triangle. The education, health and economy are still dead. They have not been addressed. Point number 7. This is what makes me laugh most. Corruption and misuse, elimination of corruption and misuse of power. Corruption, it is as if they say, you must make sure that corruption is entrenched in the NRM system. Because it is the oil that fuels the NRM junta. The NRM survive. Everyone is a thief. If they give you an office and you don't steal, you actually make headlines. They call you a fool, they call you mad, all sorts of names. They have stolen everything that they touch. At one time, the British High Commission, the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, to about 2017, before he left office, he said, if the money stolen in this country, in Uganda, was stolen in the UK could close shop. When the Prime Minister of Spain was sending his minister to go and negotiate loans, he said, remember, Spain is not Uganda. What he meant that the ministers in Uganda go to negotiate and negotiate on the side of the lender. That means they get kickbacks. When Mr. Museveni was speaking to Parliament at the first session of 2016, he said 5,000 kilometers of roads have been eaten. Nobody is in jail. COVID money, Auditor General says about 5 trillion cannot be accounted for. Don't talk about global funds. Don't talk about money for the handshake. Don't talk about money given to businessmen because BESIGYE because of the markets. Don't talk about money for the bicycles, LC money, Myoga. All those projects are projects designed to swindle, to siphon money from this country. The people who are too poor are now too rich. So you cannot say Mr. Museveni came here to fight corruption. No. Corruption is part and parcel of the NRM. Corruption is the DNA of the NRM. Corruption, NRM survives because of corruption. Point number 8, redress the errors that have resulted in the dislocation of sections of the population and improve others. I do not know who he meant by those dislocated. Wherever you hear land grabbing, mass eviction of villages, it has been done by ministers, done by generals, done by high-profile NRM people, with the help of the state apparatus, the meter and the police. They even broke a church here and there. You had Mr. Museveni call his brother in Musanji. You go in the Bunyoro. You go in Apa, where the women had to undress before the then Minister of Internal Affairs, the late Aronda. You go all over the country. Land grabbing and evicting of people has been part and parcel of the NRM. They even put up a land fund who we don't know the kind of people that benefit from the land fund. Who benefits from it, we don't know. How to get that money, we don't know. So this has never been a reason as to why Mr. Museveni came to power. Then cooperation with other African countries to build human and democratic rights of other parts of the country, of Africa. Uganda has been known as a warmonger. When you read the book, The Third War of Africa, in the Congo, where we're even convicted in court to pay 10 billion US dollars, of course you haven't paid. The author says, he gave reasons for why other countries went to Congo. In Uganda, they said they were just egocentric. Want to show that you're strong, you are someone, you have something, and then we grabbed gold and everything. We have issues with Kenya over Bijingo, we have issue with Rwanda, we have issue with Sudan. Now we have started something in Ethiopia. So we are basically warmongers. We are in Chad, helping dictators to keep around. When Salva Kiir was being removed, we are the one who kept him. So we are not known. Our records, and even when you see the human rights reports, it shows that the state, the UPDF, what Mr. Museveni calls NRA and others call the occupational force of the NRA, it's number one, the human rights abuse. But of course used by those in power to make sure that human rights are abused. So the issue of human rights and democracy has never been the role. So point number 10 is that Mr. Museveni said they would follow an economic strategy of a mixed economy. A mixed economy is where there is the public sector and the private sector. Government there, you allow private enterprises or private individuals to do business, and also government does business. It would be like a government-led economy whereby it's government actually competes with the private sector. But today when Mr. Museveni came to power, the first victim was to sell to themselves what actually belonged to Ugandans. There was Uganda Dairy Corporation was sold for $1. $1. Today is about 3,600, 3,550. That is how it went. We lost government farms, government land, government hotels, even government, embassies. All that we had, Uganda Airlines. What did they sell? So even their strategy, and they said, we are going private sector. Or we are liberalizing the economy. But even when you look at use your touch well, it's not what would qualify even to be a liberal economy. Uganda has a other economy that is, it is only Mr. Museveni who can define it. In economics, you have it nowhere. So now, after looking at the 10-point problem of Mr. Museveni, and we realize that those are not actually the reasons why he came to power. What the singer Ronald Maija would say, what took you to the bush and well, has actually the same situation is back. The show that took you to the bush is the same situation. Human rights abuse, land grabbing, nepotism, abuse of the laws. There's no rule of law. There's no democracy. There's a lot high insecurity. Everybody lives in fear. Even people say, "You guys, which kind of steel were you made of? You're not scared of the man." But what Mr. Museveni said in his old age not come to liberate the people of Uganda. That tells you that 1986 was not a revolution. It was self-liberation by Mr. Museveni, wanting to liberate his people. Of course, it's a sort of another day the people is talking about. These days, here is masquerading as a Muchwezi. That one we shall discuss. I also believe he's not one who scares the way he used to scare people in the bush. That he was a pussycat. He would turn into a pussycat. So people say that he was hard to arrest. So after now seeing that he's weakening, he's bringing other scriptures to say that he's a Muchwezi. He's not a Muchwezi. He's not intimidating you, scaring you from standing up to say enough is enough. Ugandans, you must rise up to the task and do what you must do to make sure that we liberate our country. Thank you. Share the video. Join the Red Card Front. And we fight to make sure that we have a transition in this country. Thank you so much. God bless you.